Browns owner Jimmy Haslam admitted that the Deshaun Watson train was a whiff, saying, "We took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't. And we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him, so we got to dig ourselves out of that hole." He didn't mention all the money he spent on him either. $230 million guaranteed. Is the Deshaun Watson trade the worst in NFL history?
I'm going to go with yes, because it's more than just on the field. It's also off the field. If we could talk about the historical bad trades, like the Herschel Walker trade, where that was just that defined terrible trades. The Ricky Williams trade was also an abomination. Trey Lance was a complete bust initially. Only played in really 4 starts. He got traded 3 first-round picks. The 49ers traded up to go and get him. And then the Russell Wilson trade, but that was bad because that was just poor financial decisions. Before he even takes one singular snap, you sign him to a 5-year deal. But Deshaun Watson, it was a little bit different because there was the sexual misconduct off the field. There was decreasingly poor play and the fact that he didn't even play the season before you made this move. And on top of it, you alienated your star quarterback who you picked first overall in Baker Mayfield, who played through an injury that prior year, and you thought, let's not move forward with them anymore for whatever reason. And now he's putting up several back-to-back 4,000-plus yard seasons and making the Buccaneers a serial playoff team, which is, again, what are the Browns doing now? They're stuck with this guy, Deshaun Watson. So I think, yes, it is the worst trade in NFL history because let's talk about on the field first. His play has been terrible, so much so that over the cap, if we talk about just on-field production, over the cap rates his salary at $5.5 million per year. Daniel Jones makes more than that. Anthony Richardson is making more than that. Like, bad quarterbacks are making much more money than Deshaun Watson is based on his on-the-field value. He has an under 60% completion percentage with the Browns back in 2022 when he first got there. Under 60% completion percentage, a QBR for a scale of 0 to 100 of 21.5, which is dead last in the NFL. His EPA per play, DVOA, and DYAR are all bottom 5 in modern NFL history. So since the merger, it's been bottom 5, each of those stats, bottom 5 in that entire time frame. And then in 2024 with Deshaun Watson, the Browns were dead last in offensive efficiency. So yeah, no, this is bad. I do appreciate, though, Jimmy Haslam saying, we completely missed. We took a shot, we whiffed, and we went down swinging. Because guess what? That's exactly what this trade is. And we don't see owners or general managers say that they screwed up on a particular move in free agency. Like, you're not going to see Joe Shane talk about how bad the extension for Daniel Jones was. You're never going to hear him say that. But the fact that Jimmy Haslam's coming out and saying, you know what? Yeah, we missed on that one. Now, here's the issue, though. Here's the big issue. They're stuck with him. So they could rip on him all he wants. Deshaun Watson, he could try to force his way out. It isn't going to happen. Because if they decide to release him right now, it's a $170 million cap hit. And even at the end of his contract, it doesn't matter. Because next year, he's a free agent for the 27 season. His cap hit is still worth $125 million. So right now, the Browns are completely stuck with him. Now, obviously, a post-June 1st release or a post-June 1st trade will alleviate the initial dead cap hit for that first year. But it doesn't matter. You're still going to be absolutely rocked by the fact that you gave Deshaun Watson the most guaranteed money in NFL history up until right before week 1, when Dak Prescott signed one for $231 million guaranteed. So this is utterly ridiculous because his poor play, he sat out the prior year before you traded for him. You gave up a bunch of draft picks. Let's actually bring it up because I meant to do this. This is what you gave up for Deshaun Watson. You acquired him and a 6th-round pick for 3 firsts, 2 fourths, and 1 third-round pick. And I'll get into what those picks actually became. But that's what the Texans got for Deshaun Watson. So yeah, I am calling this the worst trade in NFL history.
Yeah, well, they say that acceptance is the first step towards healing. Maybe for the Brown fans, the healing process can officially begin now that Jimmy Haslam has stepped up and said, you know what, I blew it. I made a big swing and whiffed. Over 3 years removed from the Browns pulling off a blockbuster trade for quarterback Deshaun Watson, owner Jimmy Haslam is accepting that the big swing hasn't gone according to plan. As a result, Haslam is trying to show patience when it comes to getting the team back on track and may impact what Cleveland does with the number 2 pick in the draft. And this, to me, is defines the Browns as not knowing what they're doing, and they have not known what they were doing for quite many years. Haslam said, I think the message is if the right person's there, we're going to take him. And he's talking about the draft. Well, don't you know who the right person is right now? Don't you know? I mean, you don't know?
So here's my question to you. Who do you think is the best
quarterback,
person?
For sure.
Right,
you got to take
one?
a quarterback. Either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Those are the 2 quarterbacks that are going to be available. And he's got to take one of those 2. And the fact that they're not saying it yet, it just astounds me. I don't get it. If not, we'll figure it out, he said, for a year or 2 until we get the right person. Well, don't they know who the right person is? A quarterback. The quarterback is the most important player on the team. Handles the ball on every play. It makes the decisions that either get you down the field to score a touchdown or turn the ball over or whatever. Okay? The quarterback's the most important guy. We need good football players. He says, that's a deep thought.
Brilliant observation.
That's deep. There's good players in this draft. All right. And we got to make sure we get the right ones for us. Okay, well, I'm all for that. I would say it's either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders for you. The Watson situation has made quarterback the Browns' most obvious need, and one that could change the future of the franchise in a hurry, you know? Well, at least the fans would have something exciting to watch instead of quarterbacks out there turning the ball over and making all kinds of mistakes and playing poorly. The results so far, the Browns are destitute and their image tarnished. Watson's repeatedly injured, and the Texans are AFC contenders. That's been the results so far. Watson was suspended the first 11 games of in his Cleveland career, and that should have been due to the sexual assault charges. That should have been a huge red flag for them against him, and then suffered 2 straight season-ending injuries, and now re-injured the Achilles heel, threatening his most, if not all of his 2025 season. So far, when playing, he's thrown 19 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. That's what he's done in 3 years for the Browns. 2 things, Nate. I can't believe that they don't know who they want to draft yet. It's got to be a quarterback. It makes the most sense. There's 2 very good quarterbacks who could be franchise quarterbacks available, and they could get one of them. This is the first-round draft pick they've had in 3 years because of that trade. Okay, and the other thing, I think, is why the hell did he say this? Why did he say this? No, but why did he say it? Deshaun Watson still has 2 years left on his contract.
What's he going to do?
But, he still has 2 years. He has 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
He might have some minimal trade value, maybe some minimal, but now whatever value he had is gone because of Haslam running his mouth.
Well, no, I think that this is great because, like you mentioned in your opening, what is that, the 5 stages of grieving or accept it? You need to accept it. You screw it up. This is a bad move. We're not going to hear Jerry Jones say, hey, I kind of screwed up here. Maybe I should have spent more money in free agency. You know what he says? Well, I think we spent very well. I think we spent enough. I think we made the necessary.
I think Jerry Jones has the right perspective. He's the owner of the team. He's got to exude confidence, optimism, instead of saying, you know what, we totally blew it. This guy is a dud. And we have 2 more years of his contract. Yeah, we still have him.
Biting the bullet because
we still have him.
He has no value left. They are biting the bullet.
2026, he could be healthy. He's going to be the quarterback in 2026.
But that doesn't mean they'll start him.
Maybe not. I don't know. I think they definitely should draft a quarterback.
Absolutely.
They have to do that.
That's what I agree with you on. In fact,
I think the Giants ought to be praying they draft him too, because those 2 great quarterbacks will be gone when they get to number 3, and then they can go for Hunter. Right,
I think they're probably praying
and then
Browns
they can say down the road if either Ward or Sanders is a franchise quarterback. Well, it wasn't available to us. We couldn't pick them.
That's an excuse, absolutely.
Yeah, they have the excuse. They need that excuse.
They do,
given all the mistakes they've made.
Well, I want to bring up those draft picks again because this is who these picks turned out to be for the Texans.
Yeah.
Kenyon Green, who fell apart for the Houston Texans at the guard position. Dameon Pierce, he's a serviceable running back. Will Anderson, so it's a pretty good pick.
Not bad.
Tank Dell,
not bad.
Pretty good pick. Kamari Lassiter, who's pretty good. And then Cade Stover, a tight end. So they got some very prominent picks for a guy who's played 19 games, is always injured, and led one of the worst offenses in modern NFL history. I mean, that's an absolute steal. And on top of that, the Browns spent $230 million fully guaranteed on him. You can restructure it till 25 years from now.
You wait. The Browns won't take a quarterback.
And that
you wait. They won't do it. And that will be.
We actually talked about that.
Look
not
what
too
they've
long
got.
ago.
Who have they got for? They got Kenny Pickett.
Kenny
as their
Pickett.
quarterback.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. So it makes sense to
Kirk
bring
Cousins
in the
might
rookie.
be available at some point.
Bring in the rookie. Bring in
Exactly.
a rookie. Makes the most sense. And start Kenny Pickett for a few games. Let the guy watch, get his legs under him, get the feel for the NFL, and then put him in there. And the fans will love it.
But
at least it'll be good entertainment. They may not win much.
That's true.
But at least it'll be decent entertainment. And that's what he owes that franchise. My God. They've been horrible for a long time. And they've spent incredible amounts of money.
Yep.
Incredible amounts of money. And given up huge amounts of draft capital.
Yep.
Right? And
First round
this
pick,
is what
the
the
first round
result
pick in
is.
3 years.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And you're saying, well, why is Jimmy Haslam saying this? Deshaun Watson's trade value is basically nothing. He had trade value? That's my. He actually had trade value?
He probably doesn't. But why, when you have him for 2 more years, why would you do that? What does it say to the other players on the team? You know, if I play poorly, well, Jimmy Haslam's going to come up and say, yeah, we made a huge mistake drafting this guy.
I don't
He's
think
horrible.
you can look at a singular
He's horrible.
Cleveland
We got him
Brown
for
and say,
we got him for 3 more years, and we're paying him a huge amount of money. But I admit it, I made a mistake. That is I think that is the worst thing you could say.
So what are you going to say?
The worst thing you could do.
So you think Jimmy Haslam should say, hey, Deshaun Watson, he's fine.
No, I
He's
think
fine.
here's what I think he should say. Nothing.
So
He should say nothing.
you don't.
Why
think,
should
you
he
don't think
say
people-
anything? He hires a general manager to make those kinds of comments.
No, he's not gonna
He's
come
the
out and
owner
say
of the
that.
team. He shouldn't get down into the mire like that with an individual player and say things like that. It only hurts his reputation
I don't
and
think
shows
so.
that he
I don't
really
think so.
doesn't have too much on the ball, I think.
Why? Just because he's being honest about a decision that the entire organization made? That's called accountability. I'm guaranteeing you.
I think, you know
a
what?
lot of hold on.
I don't
a lot
mind
of
him.
organizations are looking for accountability. For instance, the New England Patriots, one thing that everybody ripped on Gerard Mayo for was never taking accountability for poor personnel decisions. Everybody was like,
They
Elliot
got
Wolf.
rid of him after 1 year.
Correct.
Yeah, they made the right
Because
decision.
there was no accountability. Jimmy Haslam coming out and saying, you know what? We screwed up. It's finally saying, okay, I guarantee you, Browns fans and NFL fans were wondering, what are the Browns thinking? Do they still believe in Deshaun Watson? Well, this gives us a clear answer. They don't anymore, and they're being honest that this decision was a very poor decision.
Why say what he said? I don't mind him saying that at the end of the contract.
Because people are asking
when
for
he's
answers.
gone, I would say rather
not
than
gonna be
come
gone.
out and say that, go draft a quarterback. That
Well, they're
tells
gonna do that
everybody.
anyway.
Actions speak louder than words. We don't know what they're going to do. He didn't say they're going to draft a quarterback.
They better draft a
No,
quarterback.
but they
'cause then
didn't. He didn't
I
say
know,
that.
I know.
He doesn't know who they're going to pick.
Because you also think
That's
about
what
this.
he said. Let's go back and see
Yeah.
what he said.
No, I know. You said we're not sure
says-
moving forward.
I think let's see.
But no, here's my thing. Here's my thing with the Browns. Why don't you think that this could
He
be a
says,
power
I
play?
think the message is if the right person's there, we're going to take him. He didn't say what position it was.
Right, because why say, oh, yeah, we're
The
going
right
to draft...
person could be Abdul Carter.
Correct.
It could be Travis Travis Hunter. It
why
could
would
be,
the Browns show their
Shedeur
cards before the
Sanders. It
draft?
could be, who knows who it could
No,
be.
I can tell you exactly why you don't tell someone who you're drafting 3 weeks out of the draft. Because if you're saying, okay, we're going to draft Shedeur Sanders, someone who wants, like, for instance, the Giants who may want Shedeur Sanders are going to say, okay, so now we're stuck with Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. But if you put it in the air, well, we could draft Shedeur Sanders. We could draft Abdul Carter. We could get Travis Hunter. You keep an opening. You say that it shuts the door for Deshaun Watson's trade value. That number 2 pick, all of a sudden, because of the ambiguity, you don't know who they're drafting.
No.
What do you mean, no?
What difference does it make? They have the number 2 pick.
You don't think someone's trying to
Either
trade
they're
up?
going to get Ward or they're going to get Sanders.
Or
No.
Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
No, but they should take a quarterback. They should say
Right,
it
you're
now.
saying they should. I'm saying that if you're the New York Giants,
I don't think
and
it
wanna get
matters. It doesn't matter if
You don't
they
think
say
someone's
it
gonna
now.
try to
They have
trade
the
for
number
number
2 pick. There's 2 great quarterbacks. They're going to get one of them.
But you're under the
They don't have
the
to
umbrella.
If the Giants say, hey, you know what? You said you're going to take Travis. You're going to take Shedeur Sanders. We don't want you to do that. We want him. We want to trade picks with you.
Exactly my
point. And then
point.
the Browns could say, no, we're going to take Sanders.
Correct.
So I don't
But
think
that
they risk
conversation
anything.
could happen, though.
They don't
That's
risk
my thing.
anything. They don't risk anything by saying they're going to take a quarterback. I don't think. If you're drafting number 2, if you're drafting number 7 or 8, maybe there's some risk there. I don't know. You hold your cards close to your vest. But in this case, I don't think it matters at all.
Of course it matters. Because the Giants are trying to trade up last year for the New England Patriots' 3rd overall pick because the Patriots were never 100% on who they're going to draft.
And the Patriots didn't do it.
Right, but the Giants could at least have that conversation because the Patriots were like, okay, we're
but
definitely
the
going
Browns
this route.
don't have to trade. Oh,
But
and
you're
Tennessee,
missing
maybe
the point.
Tennessee will trade.
You're
with
missing
them. I
my
don't know.
point here. That conversation could at least happen because you don't know who they're going to draft. You don't know. For instance, if the Browns say we're drafting Abdul Carter, that number 3 pick goes up immensely for teams that need a quarterback because Shedeur Sanders is available. But if the Browns like, well, we could, then you could have a conversation with them saying, hey, we're willing to trade up and give you this in order so we could draft this guy. Are you okay with that? That's why the Giants were able to speak to New England Patriots because the Patriots didn't say, we're going to draft Drake May. We're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. We're going to draft this guy. They didn't say that because why would you? Just like how the Titans have said, well, we believe in Will Levis and we're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. But they're at the number 1 pick and they need a quarterback.
Okay, well, all right. Well, they aren't saying who it's going to be, but my advice
The Titans are the
is
first overall pick and they haven't even said who they're picking.
Okay, well, my advice is draft a quarterback, Cleveland.
That's your advice. But in reality, no team is coming out and saying, hey, like the Titans with the number 1 overall pick haven't even said who they're drafting. They've talked about drafting back or trading back. They've talked about drafting Cam Ward. They've talked about they've met with Abdul Carter. They've met with a bunch of these teams because they don't want to play their hand because it doesn't shut down any trade opportunity. If the New York Giants say, hey, we'll give you 3 first-round picks for that number 1 overall pick, the Titans are going to absolutely take that. Screw whoever they're going to draft. Because that's 3 first-round picks for a team that's obviously overpaying to get that number 1 pick.
Well, that's a mistake to do that. Obviously, the Browns have shown that. They gave up 3 first-round picks.
Right, but that's not for a rookie
Look what
quarterback
happened to
that
them.
can change a franchise. That was for a guy who sat out
their
the
record
prior
last year was so bad they have the 2nd-round pick. The team that benefited from it, the Texans, won a playoff game last year.
Right, but that wasn't for a rookie quarterback. That was for a quarterback who sat out the prior year. And the Texans looked like they were moving on anyway. So there's a difference there. Deshaun Watson sat out 2021. So the year that the Browns were pursuing him, Baker Mayfield was just coming off an injury where he played through basically the entire season with the injury, and Deshaun Watson didn't play in a singular year. But the year prior, you could argue he was an MVP candidate.
Okay, well, we need to move on to our next topic here, but I will say the Browns are one of the worst run organizations in the league and have been for a long time and will continue to be in my mind. We'll see.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.